What if Eren Yeager didn't wake up under that tree in episode 1 as an ordinary boy? What if he woke up with everything already inside him? The grief, the paths, the founder, the rumbling, Mikasa's blade, Armin's tears, the sight of the outside world, and worst of all, the knowledge that even after he died, even after his friends bought the island in time, Paradise was still destroyed in the end. Because if child Eren wakes up already knowing and possessing all of that, then he's someone who has already seen what freedom costs. Well, I found 3 ways this story could continue. In the first theory, Eren changes too much too early and loses everything faster in canon. The moment he wakes up under the tree, he knows what day it is. He knows Wall Maria will fall, Carla will die, and Grisha will take the founder from the Rice family and pass both titans to him at the same night. He knows Reiner, Berthold, and Annie are already inside the walls. He knows too much. And that's exactly the problem. A child carrying 10 years of war inside his head would not act like a child. He'd cling to Carla too hard. He'd look at Grisha with the wrong fear, and stare at the warriors like he knew their names. Sooner or later, somebody notices. Whether it's Grisha, Mikasa, or Reiner catching Eren looking at Berthold like prey, the result is the same. Eren starts moving pieces before he has the power to back it up. He tries warning Carla, forcing Grisha's hand and exposing the warriors while trapped in a child's body. And then the wall falls. Carla might survive if Eren gets her out early enough, but saving one person doesn't mean he controls the board. Grisha must still reach the Rice Cave. The warriors have their mission, and Marley wants the founder. If Eren slips too much, he stops being an unpredictable pawn and becomes a threat every side wants to secure. That version becomes chaos fast. Grisha is shaken, the warriors panic sooner, and the military suspects Eren years before Trost. The fragile timing that allowed canon Eren to grow into his role breaks apart, and that's why this first theory ends badly. Eren gets the attack and founding titans, yes, but he's too exposed, too early. By the time Trost should happen, Marley pushes harder. The monarchy is suspicious, and Eren lacks alliances to protect him. He gets captured, dissected, or fed to someone controllable, and the future collapses into a faster, uglier defeat for Paradise. Now, that's only one possibility. In the second theory, Eren uses his knowledge carefully, protects far more people, and still learns the same cruel lesson in the end. This time, he's smarter. He wakes under the tree, remembers everything, and understands the most important rule: say less. He still hugs Carla too tightly and watches Grisha with haunted eyes, but he doesn't start blurting out Marley, the founder, or the basement to everyone around him. He lets the day move. Maybe he shifts a small piece. Maybe he gets Carla out on an errand, keeps Mikasa closer, and says just enough to Grisha so he won't hesitate. While Maria still falls, because it has to. Grisha still takes the founder and passes both titans to Eren in the woods that night. But the boy who wakes up is not a terrified child with a key. He's a shifter who knows exactly what he inherited. The cadet years become terrifying for everyone around him. Eren already knows hand-to-hand combat. He already knows ODM movement patterns. He already knows who the warriors are. From the start, he looks absurdly gifted. Mikasa seems physically stronger, but Eren closes the gap faster, training with memories of future wars burned into him. He handles emotions differently too. He protects Sasha more closely because he knows where her life leads. He pays quiet attention to Historia, and watches Reiner and Berthold not with open hatred, but with the patience of a man awaiting the right moment. Then Trost changes everything. When the Colossal Titan appears, Eren isn't caught flat-footed. He knows the attack order and where Berthold should be after the breach. He reveals himself as a Titan, but the reveal is cleaner, more controlled, and harder to spin as random chance. Trost is saved faster. The bolder plan works earlier. Marco, Thomas, and Mina live. Because Eren looks like a miracle instead of a liability, the Survey Corps gains momentum earlier. The female Titan expedition changes. Eren knows Annie's identity already, so he doesn't spend the mission doubting himself. Levi's squad lives because Eren transforms early instead of waiting. Annie is captured or eaten. Reiner and Berthold are left alone and everything snowballs. Reaching the Ku and Rice Chapel, Eren plays with a terrifying advantage. Knowing Historia, Rod, Rice, and royal blood matter, he guides everything carefully. He knows the sea is not freedom. It's the start of the real war. He keeps Historia crowned and reaches the basement with far less collateral damage. Then comes the hardest part. Seeing Marley again, through familiar memories, he realizes the core truth. The outside world still hates them. Saving friends, winning earlier, and exposing warriors changes nothing. The world beyond the sea still wants Paradise gone. That's what makes this second theory tragic. Eren does almost everything better. Friends live, victories come sooner, and Paradise is stronger. He might pull off a partial rumbling as a deterrent, buying decades of safety, but if he leaves the outside world alive and their hatred intact, he's only created a cleaner version of temporary peace, and he already knows how that peace ends. But the third theory is the one that changes the story most, because in this version, Reborn Eren remembers not only the rumbling, He remembers that stopping it was not enough. He wakes under the tree, sees Mikasa asking why he's crying, and is no longer a child. He's already watched Armin become a hero, use the founder, and died. He's seen the island bombed after everyone he loved was gone. So his first real decision is simple. He'll not leave anything unfinished this time. That changes his whole life. He still lets Wall Maria fall to ensure Grisha takes the founder and passes both titans on. He might still save Carla by pushing her out of Shiganshina, or let that pain stand if changing it risks too much. Either way, when Grisha takes him into the forest, this Eren is not confused. He looks Grisha in the eye and tells him to do it. He lets himself be injected, devours his father, and wakes up without spending 5 years suppressing the truth. He starts preparing immediately. The cadet years become a long setup. He masters ODM gear absurdly fast. He learns exactly how much he can push his titan. He studies hardening early through memory and experimentation. He shapes his public image into something specific, not a survivor, but the one person to become humanity's spear. He also starts cutting pieces off the board. At Trost, when the colossal titan appears, he doesn't merely react, he hunts. He knows Berthold will vanish if left alone, so he transforms at the right angle, forces a shorter engagement, and devours Berthold before the warriors can regroup. The colossal titan is his in year 850 instead of Armin's much later. Trost is sealed, Marco lives, and Reiner is suddenly missing half his plan. That one move changes everything. On the 57th expedition, Annie is not some mystery Eren needs others to solve. She's prey. Eren transforms earlier, fights her with future combat knowledge, and either captures her or eats her before Levi's squad dies. Now he holds the attack, founder, and colossal titan, and possibly the female titan too, while the Survey Corps still has most of its elite members alive. Then comes the Rice Chapel. This is where Canon Eren was unstable and desperate. This Eren is cold. He already knows Historia is one of the keys to everything. He protects her far more deliberately, wins her trust sooner, and reaches the throne room conflict already planning around royal blood instead of discovering it piecemeal. Rod still becomes a monster. Historia still becomes queen. But now Eren has both a stable political ally and a stable route to activating the founder later. Then he reaches the basement, confirms Marley, and sees exactly what he expected. The sea is not the end. It's the line after which mercy becomes suicide. So now he starts preparing for Marley with no illusions left. Liberio becomes a trap far more than a raid. He may still let Willy Tiber declare war to unify the world against Paradise, because that unity gives him exactly what he wants. A single target. He still wounds Marley at the festival, but this time there's less hesitation, less emotional collapse, and no need to drag the conflict out longer than necessary. Zeke is still useful, so he keeps him alive. Sasha lives if he wants her to. Flock becomes even more devoted. The Jaegerists rise earlier and more cleanly because Eren is no longer conflicted enough to hide his own faction. And when the time comes to reach the Founder's full power, he doesn't waste it on a theatrical half-measure. He reaches paths. He reaches Ymir. He sees again what he already saw. And this time, when the Wall Titans begin to move, Eren has no intention of stopping at 80%. That means the final arc becomes something horrifying. Armin, Mikasa, Jean, Connie, Levi, all of them still try to stop him. But this version of Eren has been planning around their morality since childhood. He knows what each of them will choose. He knows how much love they still carry for him, making them predictable in the worst possible way. The Founder gives him scale. The Attack Titan gives him foresight. The Colossal gives him apocalyptic force of his own. If he kept Annie and Reiner's Titans in earlier arcs, he's even more absurd. The Alliance is no longer facing a broken friend improvising the end of the world. They're facing a man who has already watched this ending once and refuses to lose again. Could they still reach him? Maybe. But this Eren would not allow the same emotional openings. He would not bring them into paths for tearful explanations. He would not set them up as heroes. He would not leave the Worm, the Founder, and his own neck exposed the same way. If Mikasa gets close this time, it's because he wanted her close for one last look, not because he's secretly hoping she will free him. And if they fail, then the world outside Paradise ends completely. That's the victory he chooses in this branch. No surviving enemy nations, no future bombing campaign, no later generation finishing what the old one started. Just the islands, the Eldians he chooses to spare, and a future built on a silence so enormous it would terrify even him. And that's why this third theory is the one that changes Attack on Titan the most. That if he truly believes the cycle can only end with one side gone, then the boy who once wanted freedom will come back willing to become history's greatest monster to force it. But what if Eren's rebirth let him save the world without such sacrifice? Well, that's the subject of this other video. Click on this video to see what it could look like if Eren used the paths to save mankind. Go ahead, click it.